So when engaging people online, how do you, or what would you recommend as some guidance for ensuring that we are actually apologetically defending the faith and not just getting sucked into a back and forth that actually won't produce any fruit?
That was my question.
That's great. So now this is very interesting. So I'm going to refer to a guy named Frank Turek. He's an apologist. And one thing I've seen him do time and time again is usually fairly early on in the conversation that he's having with the atheist, he'll ask the question that, if Christianity were true, would you become a Christian? And it sounds simple, but sometimes people will say no. So if you say no, then you're not about the truth. So I'm not going to then engage you in some long discourse about, with why Christianity is true, because that's not your thing anyway. So at that point, I may pray for you, or I might ask you why. Why not? If Christianity is true, you still won't be a Christian. Well, what's behind that? And then I might address that issue rather than just hitting them with information. You see what I'm saying? So I think that what you want to do is try to engage the person first. You don't want to, put it this way, you never want to engage the question only. You always want to be thoughtful about engaging the soul. You know what I'm saying? That's the most important part. And when you do that, then it kind of helps you to stay on track and not get caught up in just a mindless back and forth that's just going tit for tat. So the other piece is too is like we have to understand, make no mistakes about it, right? When it comes to apologetics and putting forward the arguments on the table, we have to remind ourselves that first and foremost, we want to do it in the most biblical way possible, right? And when it comes to what the Word says, the Bible says, look, none of us are neutral. Okay, if you are rejecting the gospel, you are in rebellion against God. You know what I'm saying? Now, whether you are, however aware of it you are, may differ depending on the person. But there's an element of the will. Okay, if anybody ends up not going to New Kingdom, it's not because they just didn't want it, just because it just happened. Because you willfully rejected God, and we have to understand that there's always an element of the will, and that can take different shape depending on the person. The other side is, one thing I found is that when you ask questions, like I was saying a minute ago about, why this, or, kind of getting more information, what you find is that a lot of times what's really fueling the fire behind their objections isn't really intellectual. I'm saying a lot of times it's just emotional. I had this lady, a friend of mine, they were going to the same church or something like that, and he couldn't answer her question, so he referred her to me. And, her issue was something similar to that, actually, about the Bible. She didn't believe the Bible was true. And so first we're going back and forth, and I'm giving all this evidence, and she's like, what about this? And I'm like, okay, so we're just going back and forth for days, man. And mind you, let me just do a little small note. When it comes to, if you want to engage in Christian apologetics, specifically if you're married, you need to have your wife involved. I never have any interaction online with a female unless my wife is sitting right there with me, looks at the email first, you know what I'm saying, and is with me when I send it back. So that's why sometimes, when people send me emails, they think I don't see it, or I don't get back to them swiftly or something like that. It's because if I see that notification come on my phone, it's a female name, and I can see the little snippet of the message. It looks like some apologetics related. I call my wife, hey, babe, I need you to, check out this, before I open it. And she'll check it out, and then I'll open it. So accountability is key. I just wanted to kind of just throw that in there. Lost my train of thought. But yeah, so we're going back and forth, right? And at the end of it, I just asked her, what's really behind it? And what it really came down to, she was mad that at her church, she wasn't recognized as a minister. That's what it was. She was mad about it. Now, I don't know what people's thoughts are on complementarianism. I'm not going to get into that right now, but that was her real beef. That has nothing to do with textual criticism or whether the Bible, whether this manuscript was corrupted. That has nothing to do with that. What was fueling her problem was not intellectual. You know what I'm saying? So we had to kind of take stock of those things. So when it comes to engaging people online, I think try to gauge where that person's coming from first. Is this a person who sincerely has a question that we can, maybe kind of work our way through it and get somewhere? Or is there something else behind the question that needs to be accounted for first before we can even address the question itself? So I'm pretty sure I got to end out, but yeah.